everybody, and welcome back to Monifactory. Last time we fixed our power situation by creating 4 Naquata reactors, but to do that we also need to set up data and research. Luckily for us, because we did that all last episode, we can finally progress again in the path. Starting with, of course, new circuits. So hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of Monifactory, where today I want to try and get as much circuit stuff done as possible. I'm talking all this. We'll see if I'll be able to get a sterile clean room set up. That's the goal. There's a lot on my mind the next 4-ish episodes of what we're going to do. I have it pre-planned out pretty much. But hopefully by the end of 4 episodes, we're going to have this whole chapter done. But obviously me talking here is not going to get anything done. No. I actually have to get to work. So we were halted last time by the tier 8 circuits because we needed the research station, but now we should actually be able to make the first tier of UV circuits since we can make this ZPM circuit and now we have data. And I also now don't have to worry about my power just completely running out. So I should be able to just do this and this should run. That's going to take a while, so I'll let that run. In the meantime, I'm going to be teaching my system how to make a UV circuit. Check this out. Check this out. So something else that I'm going to need to also get the even next tier of circuits. Well, first of all, I'm going to need the ZPM circuit assembler, which we should be able to get here in just a moment. But we're not going to be able to really make any of the new circuits if we don't get the sterile clean room and stem cells and the new circuit board set up. And for that, we need the next tier of microminer. Now let's talk microminers for a second. There is a problem with my system whenever I log into the world and an observer detects an update, when in reality there wasn't really an update. At least that's my theory as to what's happening. So I will log into my world and for no reason at all, microminers will be running. Which means I'm essentially wasting resources every time I log in unless I manually stop the microminer mission from happening. Luckily, I've solved the problem for the most expensive microminers, and right now I think the only one that does run is the tier 3 microminer when I log in, one of those missions, and I really don't want it to do that. So because of that, I have a whole bunch of appetite. There's a few other things, like salt, that I just have so much of, despite the fact that it should really only be running after I run out of something. So for the tier 6 microminer, I will either fix the system or I will just make it manual. However, I am going to save that for a live stream. I just wanted to let you guys know that this system I made here, something is wrong with it. I just don't know what. But anyways, our data orb is now ready. I should be able to stick this guy into here, and I should be able to make a UV circuit. I'm hoping. This is very expensive. Would you look at that? It's making my UV circuit. But like I said before, we don't really have much of a use for that until we can get the ZPM assembler working, or the circuit assembler working with the new circuits. So we need to work on circuit boards. So for this, we're going to need a sterile clean room. Now I want to make this thing pretty big because we are going to be putting multi-blocks inside of the sterile clean room. The only problem is I only have enough space in my base for 1 clean room, which means we're going to need to find a spot for this thing. And luckily, I have just a spot. So there's this little cubby right here that I think is almost the perfect size for a clean room that should be able to hold multi-blocks. So I think a sterile clean room also in chemistry makes a decent amount of sense. So I basically just need a normal clean room, but with a whole bunch of these filter casings. As you can see though, this needs something called tritanium, which is absolutely something I do not have. And for this, I'm going to need a Mark II fusion reactor. Now this thing is extremely expensive. This fusion reactor is nuts bananas expensive, but I'm really hoping I have enough stuff to pull it off. But as always, we'll see. And like always, I'm going to need to do some sort of research. So this guy in here, but I actually need to upgrade this guy to be ZPM. Anyways though, I should be able to upgrade this guy to ZPM, and we should see him running. Yes, perfect. So now I just need to craft everything for the fusion casing, which this time it looks like we're just out of Ruridit. This is a buffer issue that I'm fixing currently. It is a lot of Ruridit though that I don't have, but hopefully with enough time, I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm thinking the fusion reactor, I almost have enough. So with just a few more UHPIC chips needed and just a little bit of Ruridit, this should be just about everything. This is going much smoother than the tier 1 fusion reactor, which, I'm really a fan of. Means that I'm doing something right. At least I hope. But while I'm still waiting on all that stuff I'm going to go ahead and construct the frame for the clean room right over here. So I've been building away, and I do need to do a little bit of the exterior of the base. Really, I'm waiting for a live stream. I've been really busy the last couple of weeks. You guys might have noticed a bit of lag in the upload schedule, but hopefully that'll be fixed soon, and I'll be able to do more live streams, because I know I like doing them, and I think you guys do too. But anyways, we should be able to now make the Mark II fusion reactor. It looks like I have everything. We're going to go ahead and start this craft. Awesome, and this fusion reactor is crafting. We actually just about have almost everything. This is a good sign. We're going to get a lot done this episode. So I now believe I have just about everything to make this Mark II fusion reactor. So let's go ahead and build this thing. So it is formed. I just now need to hook it up to power. So right now I'm also making liquid uranium and titanium on passive. And now here any second, that means this should run as soon as I give it the recipe with liquid titanium and uranium. Yes, look at that. It is now going and making me liquid tritanium. And just like the other fusion reactors, I am just going to fluid solidify this. And now we have our titanium ingots. Check that out. Which that may be a quest? I would assume it is. Yes, it was a quest. And now we can unlock the next tier of circuits and the next tier of coils. Tritanium is also used a whole bunch in the making of UV components, so you know what? We're progressing through ZPM pretty fast, I feel like. And now our fusion room looks really cool. We have 3 of those reactors stacked on top of each other. Now here pretty soon, I'm going to want a second one of these fusion reactors so we can make, I don't know what it's called. Darmstadt, I don't know. Whatever this is called, but we need another Mark II reactor with ruthenium and arsenic vapor, which is pretty easy. Actually, we have plenty of ruthenium. I think we have like, we have a stupid amount of ruthenium. We also have a dumb amount of rhodium, but those, we just don't use them too much. But if I had to guess, I probably can't afford another one of these right now, yeah. We need a whole bunch more indium, tin, barium, titanium, cuprate. But now that we are getting our tritanium, we should almost have everything we need to make the sterile clean room. And in total, I'm going to need a little over a stack of tritanium. But while we're waiting on everything, we might as well fill out the clean room with the stuff we need, because I'm really just waiting on the tritanium now, which hopefully it won't take too long. So let's go ahead and let's set up some automation. So I have basically put everything together that I need. We're going to need minced meat, which this should be really easy. If I'm not mistaken, we have plenty of fish. Yeah, 16,000 cod that we can macerate. And this will give me my minced meat. I'm also going to need something called agar, which needs gelatin, which is going to need gelatin mixture, which this is a whole line in and of itself. But any more minced meat, this isn't too bad. And it requires a sterilized clean room. All of this, though, we should have. So we're going to need an LCR for this, which I can go ahead and just set right here. And I think I'm going to run this at IV, because this is a pretty lengthy process, and if we're running at IV, it's only 5 seconds per, so that seems good to me. So then next we're going to need a mixer, and this also takes a long time. So do I want to make a multi-block mixture for this, or a mixer for this? I'm not sure. It does look like this mixer and this centrifuge have a 1-to-1 time conversion though, so if I just keep them one of each, maybe I'll just make an LUV one for each so it's fast. I might keep it at IV though. I think we can make an IV mixer and IV centrifuge. And if I feel like they're too slow, then I'll just go ahead and make multi-blocks. But hopefully for now, I shouldn't need multi-blocks for this. So after I get the gelatin, I'm going to need an autoclave to make something called agar. And it looks like I'm going to need a decent amount of this stuff. I'm also going to need mutagen, but we'll get into this here in just a minute. I'm also just going to make an IV autoclave. And again, if I need multi-blocks for this, then I'll go ahead and switch them out. But hopefully I don't need that because I only have so much space in this clean room. So next up, I'm going to need a chemical reactor to make bacterial sludge. So this process starts out with a brewery, so I can make just normal bacteria. Now again, I might do a multi-block for this. We'll see. I kind of think I might want to. But hopefully for now, an IV brewery should be fine. In fact, it might even be overkill. But that's fine. I'm okay with things being overkill. I like having my stuff fast. So I'm going to make this LCR here, which will be the end of the chain. And I think I'm just going to set the brewery right around here. So next up, after I get my bacterial sludge from the chemical reactor, I'm going to need to brew it again, this time with either uranium-238, which we have a whole bunch of, uranium-235, or nequadria. Now, obviously, the nequadria is going to be the cheapest one, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get the most enriched bacterial sludge from our nequadria, which right now we're really only using for power, and we barely use any of it, so we're going to do that. So that should be just a macerator. So this nequadria dust, I'm then just going to need to craft down into tiny piles of nequadria dust. And I should be able to do this with just a molecular assembler, which I might even put this like directly in the clean room. Alright, so this is now going to be making me my nequadria, and it should go just into this distillery. Then I just need an interface on this guy that gives him bacterial sludge, which we don't have made yet, but we will hopefully as soon as we get the clean room done. And so now, as soon as I get the clean room, I mean, this should all be hopefully working. I'm gonna have to work out the kinks, which I'll walk you guys through as well. But this should work, in theory. In theory, on paper. We'll see. Speaking of which, do I have enough stuff to make the clean room? Just about. I need 4 more pieces of polybenzimidazole, which that's just a buffer issue. So now, hopefully I can make this. Oh, look at that. That's a lot of ruridit. It feels like everything uses ruridit. Everything uses iridium. So this should start crafting, and hopefully our clean room should be good to go. I feel like we got our titanium pretty fast there. So once we've made our enriched bacterial sludge, we're then going to need a distillery to turn it into mutagen. So I'm actually going to be making a multi-block, or well, the parallelized multi-block of the distillery to make the mutagen. But before we do that, look what finished crafting. All the sterilized filter casings are done, so let's go ahead and build this up. Awesome, so now it's formed. This is going to take a hot minute. Yeah, that is going to take a hot minute to do its thing. But now we do have our sterilized clean room at least. And now I'm going to make this fractioning distillery the multi-block distillery. So under further inspection, I can't actually have a multi-block distillery in here because a muffler hatch makes the clean room not work. That is really frustrating, actually. So I guess we'll have to stick with just a single block distillery. I really wish it wasn't like that, but unfortunately it is. Which I think that's going to be probably the main bottleneck of this entire system, which again, so stupid. Why? In that case, though, I'm probably just going to make multiple IV distilleries. I'll make 4 of them. So it's basically like they're running in parallel anyway. And I think I'll just set them right here. All of these will be on circuit 1. And now I should have everything I need to make raw growth medium, which then is going to be sent through a fluid heater to make sterilized growth medium, which will then be used to make my stem cells. And also it'll be used to make different circuits, or different circuit boards like the neuro processing unit, which is the next tier of circuit board, and also the wetware circuit board. This clean room is going to take a very long time though. So I'm going to finish setting up all of the inputs for this. Hopefully the clean room will be done by then. I don't want to completely finish this yet, just in case there is a kink with it that I have to solve. So we're going to go ahead and take this iteration, test it out, and see how far it takes us. So I'll be back whenever the clean room is actually clean. Alrighty, so the clean room just finished, and it looks like things are moving. Yes, everything is working. Oh my gosh. Check this out. Now, I do wish some of this was faster, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be super duper fast. We should be getting our gelatin mixture, which then should be taken out and put into somewhere else, I believe. Yes, it is then now going to be centrifuged into gelatin dust, which should be sent down here. The phosphorus from this we're going to void, and the gelatin we are not going to void. So now that we have our gelatin, this is what needs to be autoclaved, so I should be able to send that into this interface, and it should do that for me. Yes, we're going to see this now getting autoclaved into agar. This agar we're going to store just right over here. Agar being one of the end products, so this should be good. We also see that bacteria is being made. And now we're making our bacterial sludge, which this should go straight over here, if I were to store it, that is. That should now hopefully go somewhere. Yes, into this interface, which I just need a pump on the machine. And this should, yes, we're now making enriched bacterial sludge, which I guess I didn't make any output for this, did I? No, I did not. That's okay. I think I'm just going to fluid P2P it somewhere. So going from here to like probably here. Awesome. And now we see our enriched bacterial sludge, which this just needs a storage bus. All of these should now be getting this. And now we just need more pumps. And then all these distilleries should be running. Yes. And making my mutagen. That is perfect. Look at that. What a monstrosity this is. But it works. So I'm now going to store a super tank full of mutagen. I think I'm just going to do it right here. And boom. We only have 4,000 buckets, seriously? Oh my gosh, and there's more stuff we have to do on the other side of this clean room later on, so that's why I'm saving the room on this side in hopes that we have enough room in this clean room. But next up, I need to take this mutagen and make raw growth medium, just in a mixer, which I think I am going to make an IV mixer, and if I need to make another mixer, that'll be fine. I don't think I need the multi-block, because we're making this pretty slow. I mean, roughly at about 60 seconds per 4 buckets is if I had to guess, so it should be fine. So with just some laser nodes, I should be able to fix this up. Now here any second, so as soon as I give this guy power, he should start running. Yes, perfect. And now we're making our raw growth medium, which this I'm also going to be storing inside of a super tank. Jeez, look at this place. I might make a second mixer. We'll see. I'm hoping that this should be roughly the speed that's good. It looks like it should keep up though. So then now I'm just going to need a fluid heater. It looks like this has to be an IV is ridiculous, but it is what it is. But this is just going to be sent into a fluid heater. I can just put this directly on top. on circuit 1, and I should be getting my sterilized growth medium. Oh my gosh, we did it. We finally did it. And this, I'm just gonna store in a drum, I think, because I don't want to store too much of this product because we still need the raw growth medium for fibrinogenic skulk goo, which is used for skulk bioalloy, which I'm pretty sure is used for a whole bunch of stuff. So we're just gonna store this right here. And that's that. I think that is everything that we need almost from the sterilized clean room. So next up, we need the tier 6 microminer. So the reason we need the tier 6 microminers is for dragon eggs so we can make the next tier of circuits because we need stem cells. As you can see here, and stem cells are used to make the neural processing unit. And also the wetware printed circuit board, which I'm not sure. Yeah, we need that for the neural processing unit. And also, yeah, the next tier of circuits. And here pretty soon, yeah, we can get the max tier of LEV circuit. Check that out. We can actually unlock the max tier of LEV circuit as soon as we get the neural processing unit. But anyways, we're not there yet. We need the tier 6 microminer. Now, this guy doesn't actually look too bad. It's just a whole bunch of Enderium, which I don't think I've really used any of. Right? So this really looks pretty simple. So should be able to teach it like so. And that should be literally it. I mean, this really isn't that expensive. So I know I talked about how I was going to try and do something different for microverse mining, but all of a sudden, don't know why, it's behaving itself. This system is so weird. It's something I think with Minecraft and chunk loading and observers and updating with specifically an AE2 multi P2P connection. There's some weird stuff going on. I think it has to do with level emitters. So yeah, I've kind of just been dealing with that. But regardless, we want the tier 6 microminer. This gives us also Einsteinium, dragon eggs, ender dragon scales, and we can also get osmiridium and Iridios mine, which is actually pretty nice. I might set this mission up. So actually, I think we are going to set up 2 missions. This looks like a really nice mission for iridium and osmium. And I think all of those go in the advanced microverse projector. So we're going to go ahead and get some more input buses on here. So another thing that I'm going to need to do is I need to expand this system, which I should be able to do simply by adding a drawers on top here and also more export buses. So I'm going to set the same system that I had down here. Like I said, it's just going to be an extension. So for example, if I want the tier 6 microminer to be right here, I have the crafting card in here, and I don't want to use stocked items to export. So I should be able to set this guy here. I'm hoping this will all work just like planned down here. And I'm going to level emit this to under 5 tier 6 microminers. So we should see this start working, hopefully, and we should see... Awesome, so I tested it, and this does, in fact, work. So now I just need to set up a few missions in this microverse projector. I'm going to run this mission whenever I have less than 512 dragon eggs. And for the dragon egg mission, I need dragon den data, stabilized plutonium, quantum flux, and one of the tier 6 microminers. All of this I should have. I might not have the dragon den data, but this I should be able to make with this recipe here. I am going to run 5 of these missions, of course, though, like usual. So all this is full. Let's go ahead and run this manually for the first time. Yes, and there it goes. It should run. This is going to get me dragon eggs and ender dragon scales. And I believe ender dragon scales we can use for tantalum, if I'm not mistaken. So this should give me my dragon eggs. That is awesome. So now with these dragon eggs, I should be able to make stem cells. I'm also going to need skulk catalyst, which this looks like something we can just dupe when we have berkelium or liquid plutonium, both of which we have. I'm fine with using plutonium. I literally have infinite. We could also use warden prediction, which is something that we do need to make. So actually, why don't I go ahead and do that? So I think I'm going to need some more simulation chambers. I'm kind of out of room for them. And I should be able to put all my warden predictions in here. So now I should hopefully have a spare simulation chamber somewhere here. So I only need one of these cool catalysts, and the rest of these I'm going to use to make warden tendrils. And these we're going to use later on. But the skulk catalyst, I should be able to go ahead and duplicate it with an LCR right here. And I'm just going to slap this guy somewhere over here. So in this LCR, I should be able to just give it everything it needs. So now I should be making my skulk catalyst. Perfect. And this, I'll just be storing in a drawer. Perfect. So now I should have literally everything I need to make stem cells. This is going to be perfect. So I am going to make this inside of an LCR. Where am I going to put it though? I don't know. It's going to have to be somewhere up here. And I think I am actually going to run this at ZPM. Am I going to regret that? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. I do want this to be kind of fast because we're making circuits here. So I think it's worth it. If it's not, then I can always change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and set up the recipe. And this should be good to run. Let's go ahead and connect it all up. We now just need bacteria, which I guess I'm not making fast enough. In fact, I'm actually out of biochaff. So I guess I should set up a system that does biochaff a little faster, which I can just go ahead and do in basement chem, because right now I think that's being made all by LV machines. So let's go ahead and fix this up. So to increase production of plant balls, I think I'm going to make a multi-block compressor that compresses sugarcane, which we have for free. So this on compressor, and I should see this running. Oh yeah, we're going to get a lot of plant balls from this. Next, I'm just going to need a new macerator to macerate all the new biochaff that we have. Alright, so this should form the multi-block. Yes, I'm actually wall sharing. And this needs plant balls. Awesome, so this should make me a whole bunch of biochaff. I'm hoping enough to fuel our bacteria production. It looks like it will. I should hopefully now be making enough bacteria to keep up. I kind of hope so. We'll see. I might need to make a multi-block brewery for this. Alright, so as soon as I replace this input bus, it should actually start running. Yes, look at that, and we're making stem cells. That is perfect. So now that we have our stem cells, we should have just about everything we need to make our new circuits. We're going to need to make the wetware printed circuit board, which does need a few other things. All of this we should be able to do. We have sterilized growth medium. LUV electric pumps is something that we're going to need to automate in the assembly line, though, which means we also need to automate... Jeez, wait a minute. This might be a problem. There's a lot of stuff we're going to have to automate in like assembly and whatnot, including LUV motors and pumps. But to be honest, it's been a long time coming for that, so we might as well start on that today. And boom, our first stem cells. Is that a quest? It might be, it might not be. So now that we have just about everything for circuits, I think it's time we do a little bit of a montage. I have to build a lot of assembly lines. A lot of stuff down here. In this room, I need to, finally, I'm starting to use more of this room. I gotta make a lot of stuff for new components so we can completely automate the new circuits. So you guys should be hearing music. Let's do some gregging. That actually took me a decent amount of time. I had to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this, but once I did figure it out, this did not take too long at all. As you can see behind me, we have LUV motors and LUV pumps now on passive, and I'm doing this through the ME requester. It's not exactly like a crafting card. Think of how I will request something in the terminal. Basically, that's what this is doing. It's going to request one at a time until it gets to 64, and I can put this wherever I want in the base. I don't know why I put it right here. I should probably put it like in the front of assembly, but you get the point. And in these assembly lines, I just have the data stick for the electric motor here, and the other one I have the pump, and then just a pattern provider on top of these. So these should always stay in stock 64 at a time. Now this did definitely take a lot more machines in here, which is fine. I'm assuming this is going to get even bigger as we go on, as we're going to need to automate even more motors and pumps and whatnot, probably robot arms. I need to automate all of them at some point. But now, we should hopefully be able to make our wetware circuit boards. So this is going to need a Cleanroom LUV circuit assembler. And what I actually think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a circuit assembler just over here with a multi-block one that I'm going to share recipes with a whole bunch of stuff at some point. But I'm starting to get to the point where I kind of want to use multi-blocks. I don't think I want to put another circuit assembler in the Cleanroom. I want to be able to do parallel stuff just so it's faster. I was going to use a lot of sterilized growth medium. But I mean, hopefully I have enough of that stuff being made. So let's go ahead and make a circuit assembling factory. I'm going to run this at ZPM. So I'm just going to make a large assembling or circuit assembling factory just right here. So I'm hoping this should form the multi-block. Yes, perfect. All right, so awesomely, I had the pause button on my record. So let me quickly explain what went down with this circuit assembler. So I actually stole this idea from somebody called RoboCreator223. I'll go ahead and I'll put his YouTube handle in the description, so go check him out. I stole this from him. This way of crafting stuff, but basically what I'm doing is I have a level emitter telling the system that certain things exist. So right now we're crafting, so well, this is taken in the future. But we're crafting in this circuit assembler, we're making our wetware circuit boards and our neural processing units. So what's happening is basically a subnet that is able to see stuff from main system whenever we're at a certain threshold of an amount of items. So since we're currently running low on neural processing units, it's going to go ahead and fill up this interface, and that's happening through a toggle bus. So whenever we're full on neural processing units, this interface won't get any items, and then we're using a stocking input bus. So it should just take all the items from the interface to craft with. Currently we're out of Enderium, so that's the main bottleneck. There's a lot of stuff where my base has to fix. But that's how this works, and it's doing the same thing for our wetware circuit boards. As you can see, there's nothing in here because the toggle bus is off because we're full on them. That's the system. Thank you, RoboCreator223, for that. I kind of just looked at your video. I was like, oh, that is a much smarter way of doing things than the way I was doing it before. And this is already full. That is sweet. I actually did have to do some manual flushing of the system because we ran out of these circuit boards. So I went ahead and I increased the buffer on these. But if I keep manually doing this, it should eventually fix itself and have nothing inside of these buffers. So next up, I'm just going to need an LCR. Somewhere over here should be fine. And I'm going to run this at IV, so it should be pretty fast. So I should now see this guy running, yes, and making my new printed circuit boards. That's sweet. So I'm just going to store these circuit boards over here. Yes, there we go. Perfect. So now I should be able to see those new wetware printed circuit boards. That is awesome. What is this out of already? Skulk veins. Okay, so that's probably going to be the main backup at the moment, if I had to guess. But this should be running. I guess I could speed this up to LUV. And this should go a lot faster now. Yeah. Meaning that we should be getting our circuit boards a lot faster. Look at that. That is beautiful. We have our circuit boards. This took me like a while. I think this is the longest I've had to take for making new circuit boards. The last ones were all pretty easy. This one required the sterile clean room, all the Mark II fusion stuff with titanium. I needed to set up stem cells. Oh, jeez. I needed to automate motors and pumps. Really was a journey to get here. But now, with these, we can now make the Nero processing unit, which this is also something that we need to automate, which means we can then get the max tier of LUV circuit. So as you can see, this is also going to need a circuit assembler. So this is going to be done in this guy right here via the same system that I have down here. All right, so I'm looking at this and I think hopefully there's no crazy recipe conflicts that cause this to break. They should each give the recipe everything they need. I'm hoping we're okay because this is technically a kind of nested crafts, not really, but I think it should work with just one stocking input bus. So if I need to make another stocking input bus for every single subnet, I can. I'd rather not, but I can. Because this circuit assembler, I don't think we're going to have too many things on. Probably just these circuit boards, to be honest. So another problem that I'm running into is that this chemical bath is not making epoxy resin sheets anywhere near fast enough. So we're going to also go ahead and make a multi-block for this. And we can go ahead and put this over here somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I'm actually going to be using this, so I think for now, I am just going to put input buses and output buses directly from the network. And we'll just use this for reinforced epoxy sheets. Yeah, I'm looking at it. We could also use this for automating Eyes of Ender. These clean inert clusters, I'm not sure what these are used for. But there's not too much else, to be quite honest. There's paper, I guess. But we should be able to set up this system over here on this chemical bath when push comes to shove. I just don't really want to do it right now. We should see this working, and we should see, yes, reinforced epoxy resin sheets being made pretty fast. And now we should be making fiber reinforced circuit boards a lot faster as well. Which means more of these. Oh yeah, look at that. So now I should be able to set up the Nero processing units with the same exact system. So this, I'm going to have level limit whenever it's below. I'm just waiting for everything else to finish. Right, but I have all of this stuff in here, and I should be able to multiply it all by 4. And then there's just a few more things I need to put on passive, and then we should be good to go. So I've also changed these out to use threshold level emitters, so I don't like blink up and down on the circuit boards, and that causes problems. So this should lower everything. So whenever this goes down to 256, it's going to make enough to make 512, and that should help with all of this, the buffer issues I'm having, so this shouldn't run out. Everything should be working, basically. I just had to work out a few kinks in the system. And now I just need to get these things here on passive, which a bunch of weird stuff, but I do need them on passive. All right, so I'm on the last things of automating here. Everything should be just about done. And over here, this should be just about good to go. And I should now see this guy running. Check that out. We're now making our Neuro processing units. So now I just need to multiply all of these by 4. Which I guess it should have been. I don't know why it's not making as many as it should. Might have just been the first iteration, but hopefully this should now make 4 at a time after this. It might just take so much power that it will only do 1 at a time, which I guess I can't do too much about that, can I? No. No, I can't. But nonetheless, maybe I don't want to make 512. I might make 256. And we'll go ahead and store these in a drawer. Boom. That is pretty cool. And that should be that quest done as well. And we should have everything we need to make all of these circuits here. Oh my gosh. Finally. That was a mess. I mean, seriously, this took so long just to get these. And these take so long. Oh my gosh. Is that even worth overclocking? I mean, I guess I could. I could make a 4 amp ZPM energy hatch just for fun. Why not? After all, we're making circuits here. Something we use a lot of. All right, let's go ahead and let's overclock this guy. This is hopefully not going to break everything. All right, let's see how fast this runs now. Awesome, so now it is going to do 4 in parallel. That uses so much power. Well, with that being said, I think we should be able to make the max tier of not only quantum processors, so EV circuits, but also we should be able to start making LUV circuits. I don't know if we can unlock... Oh, we can unlock this. So we're going to need to laser engrave some crystal system on chips for the final tier of IV circuit. So I'm going to have to do some research in order to get the ZPM emitter so that I can make the ZPM laser engraver. So I should be able to just put this guy into here. You should start running. And then we need to take these, laser engrave them with the blue lens, and then we should be able to upgrade all of our circuits. You guys know what I think this is perfect for? Another montage. We have just about everything we need. We just have to round it all up. So you should be hearing music. Let's do some more gregging. Alrighty, so just short of 30 minutes later, everything is set up, and look at this. We're storing 2,000 EV circuits, 2,000 IV circuits. We got the max tier recipe for both of these, so these are basically dirt cheap now. I mean, they're literally dirt cheap. Titanium and niobium, yttrium, barium, all of this is like super cheap. The only thing that's like kind of not cheap would be this, but this is just because time and epoxy, which we seem to still be doing just fine on, so I'm not really that worried we might run out of chlorine. I don't think we're going to run out of hydrogen anytime soon, so all of that looks good. And we also have LUV circuits now on passive, so we also are making the next tier of ZPM and UV circuits. And as soon as I get titanium coils, I can unlock the UHV circuit. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. That is going to have to be another fusion reactor that's involved in that for UHV stuff, or UV stuff. We also seem to have run out of duranium. So we may need to overclock this guy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around the base that kind of needs to be fixed that I haven't gotten around to fixing yet. So there's a lot of stuff that our base needs to be upgraded, things that are getting outdated. So I really just need to go through one day and like change a whole bunch of stuff. I did do some of that today. Especially I started doing it over here where I put some spots where I can do some multi-block passive things. Like XP juice was really slow for whatever reason. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to make a multi-block that does a whole bunch of it. And now we're completely full and that's fast enough. And that needs to happen throughout the whole base. I did it with Flatline as well, so we should be getting Iridium a lot faster now, and Osmium. Ore processing also has been upgraded with better parallel hatches. But yeah, that's going to be an ongoing process of me upgrading stuff. I'm really looking for some live stream content, because over here pretty soon, I want to start live streaming a lot more again. But that's going to have to wait. That is unfortunately all the time I have for today, so if you guys did enjoy today's episode of... I almost said all the mods 9. If you want to see more of me and more Monifactory, hit subscribe, and now I'll see you guys in the next episode of Monifactory. Later!